YouTube, this is the D.B.T Gamer Show, episode 73. And today I'm going to review a video game console from my childhood. Now, I've had two of these so far in my lifetime, and it's one of the best consoles that I've ever had. Also, this is the very first console I actually ever owned, so it's also very special to me. The console that I'm going to talk about today is the Nintendo 64. Now, I originally had the black version. My black version, I had it for about 5 or 6 years, and I was worried it might break down and go tits up. So I sold it, plus all the games, which I wish I hadn't sold all the games. And then a few years later, I bought a Pikachu edition, which, as far as I know, the Pikachu edition was made in 2000, whereas the original was made in 1996, so this one appears to be a lot more modern and should last a lot longer. Anyway, on to my review. The Nintendo 64 has always been one of my most favourite video game consoles. It's a very powerful console. First, because the graphics on the system were very good for the time. Now, the advertisement that I remember quite a lot was the Nintendo symbol came on, and it said, "The most powerful video game console on Earth." Now, that's a lot to... Now, back in that day, there were quite a lot of video game consoles that claimed the most powerful, but this thing really had a lot of power. It was capable of 64-bit, and that was twice the power of the PlayStation 1, and twice the power of the Sega Saturn, and they were the two main competitors at that time. So this machine was the most powerful at the time. You could even make the system even more powerful if you've got an expansion pack, which is this little red thing here. The expansion pack turned your Nintendo 64 into Nintendo 68. Now, you may be asking me, does that 4-bit really make any difference? Well, I have to say yes, it does. There are certain games that you can't play without this, so it does, although I only know about 5 of them. But the expansion pack does make a difference. Okay, next is the controllers. The controller system, it's kind of like a weird bird claw foot sort of shape, with 3 handles to hold, an arrow pad on the right hand side, me on the left hand side, 2 triggers on either side, a Z trigger at the back, mostly used for firing in quite a lot of the games. Quite a sturdy joystick. A start button in the middle, B button, A button. The C buttons are mostly used for cameras in the games. And round the back is also an adapter so you can plug in memory cards and rumble packs. Now the controller, I have to say, it's pretty good. It's one of my favourite controllers that Nintendo's ever come up with. But sometimes it can be a little bit big. It's not as bad as the original Xbox controller, because that was massive. But I have to say, sometimes it's a little bit big, it can be a little bit difficult to hold. But other than that, it's a really good controller. Okay, next comes to memory cards. Well, the memory cards for this system, they don't store a lot of data, which is a real problem. I only own 1 memory card at the moment. And the memory cards can store up to 123 pages of data. And some of the games take up to 60 pages. So, the memory card memory supply is a bit too small for me. So that's a big problem. Yeah, the memory cards themselves go into the back of the controller, and they can be removed quite easily by pressing the button on the controller. And they do look pretty good. The game boxes. Well, the game boxes I've seen for this system, they do look pretty good. Let me show you one. Okay, now I found a game box I can show you what they're like. It's got a picture on the front. On the left hand, on the right hand side there's a picture of all the components you will need to play this game. This is the box for Donkey Kong 64, as you can see. You'll need an expansion pack, a rumble pack, and 1 to 4 controllers. Now, as you can see, the box looks pretty nice from the front, and there's several screenshots on the back show what the game's like. Now, the only giant problem with these boxes is that the description for most of the games is tiny. It barely tells you what the game is like. You know, it gives you the very brief bare bones. Personally, I'd like a little bit more description. Other than that, the boxes are pretty good. Okay, let's go to the accessories for the machine. Well, there are several accessories for the Nintendo 64. One of the main ones that came with Violet Wars was the Rumble Pack. And the Rumble Pack was quite a good accessory for the Nintendo 64. When you're playing Violet Wars, you put this in the back of your control, it makes you actually feel like you're flying a real R-Wing. And when you get hit by lasers, bombs, the game sends a signal and makes the Rumble Pack rumble in several different ways to the amount of damage that you take. The new accessories, of course, the memory card. A new accessory that never actually really took off was the Nintendo 64 disc drive. Now, one game was designed for the Nintendo 64 disc drive I reviewed earlier on this year. The game was Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time was originally designed for the Nintendo 64 disc drive, but the disc drive took too long to develop and Nintendo decided to change the game. Now, when the disc drive was eventually released, Nintendo still didn't release that game. The disc drive itself, because it took so long to release, not that many games were made for it. But it could have been a great accessory for the system if it had been released, you know, the same time the system came out. But the multiplayer for the system is also really good. The system can do up to 1 to 4 players, and there are several games that you can play with your friends, and it's a really good system. Let's look at the system itself. Well, the system's got a power on and off button, and the power's on, the Pikachu's cheeks will light up. Control ports, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pikachu's foot is the reset button. And it all looks really nice. Next, let's go to the games. Well, the games that I own so far, because I'm trying to rebuild my N64 collection, I own Banjo-Kazooie 1, Banjo-Kazooie 2, Jet Force Gemini, and Donkey Kong 64, or if you want to call it Donkey Kong 68, what the hell. That game does require expansion back, so kind of Donkey Kong 68. I will be getting some more games out the more. I'm looking for a copy of Conker's Bad Fur Day, so I'm going to try and get hold of that because I bet that game's good. I never actually played it, but it's really good. I used to own a lot more games, but some of them I won't be rebuying because I don't need them. I don't really want them anymore. Okay, let's go to the sound. Well, the sound for the N64 was also really good. It was capable of stereo sound, mono sound, and even Dolby Digital surround sound. So the sound was really good for the time. Now let's rate this system. I give this system a 4 out of 5. It's a really good game system. One of my all-time favourites. So it gets a 4 out of 5. My next review will be Donkey Kong 64 for the Nintendo 64. So be sure to tune into that YouTube. Until then, bye bye.